Oh, how do I turn off the
We
presentation?
are live, and Ro doesn't know how to turn off the present screen.
Well, the good news is, you get to see her book really quick.
So go
to find book one again. Hold on.
Go to present and then hit share screen. There you go.
Well, I figured out how to show stuff. I haven't figured out how to unshow stuff.
I can't do that. I don't know what I'm doing online half the time. But if I'm live streaming, I have no clue. I'm just like pretty much clueless at that point.
Oh, Mike, well, I figured this out. Why don't you introduce Miss Rebecca here?
Hi.
R.H. Snow, the Watcher of the Damned, calling in from Central Texas. And apparently she also has thunderstorms. So yes. Who knows how long any of us will be on the show before power goes out. But welcome to the show. I know you've been in the comments any number of times, so we're glad to have you on finally.
I am so happy to be here. I've got my beverage. It's a real Dr. Pepper. It's not even a Dr. Pepper Zero. It is the real, this is diabetes in a jug here, right here.
So you got the fully leaded Dr. Pepper.
Oh, so, dude! Wow.
I have the light version, the diet. So
I have a decaf.
Oh, you did? Congratulations. Well, after this week, and this week has just been a heck of, so let me start off by saying I am trying so hard not to cry or be emo because we have people we know and love that are in Central Texas that are dealing with the flooding right now and everything. So I was like, I should perk myself up with some real Texas flavor here. So that way I will actually be perky because we've had so much going on this week. So first off, from my heart to all my peeps out in Kerrville and all the counties that have been affected and all over pretty much the United States right now, we're all having flooding. We love you and all my first responders and everyone, we love you. Please stay strong. And
we would be remiss if we didn't point out that your daughter is a first responder and she's out there now.
Yes, my daughter is a first responder. We're all volunteer firefighters. I'm a firefighter in EMT, and she is a firefighter and a swift water rescue specialist, and just got her certification last week. And then the floods happened, and she immediately volunteered to deploy with her local swift water rescue team. And they are down there now doing search and rescue, and of course, recovery at this point. So please pray for any of our people that are out there. It's a really tough job. I just got off the phone with her a few minutes ago, and they're keeping their spirits up. This is it's a hard job, but when you bring somebody's loved one home, no matter which way you bring them home, we leave no man behind, we leave no person behind. And we are there to try to get them back to their loved ones. And that's what we're going to do.
All the best out to her and the crew that she's working with, because that's a tough job. Absolutely. Yep. And it doesn't matter, like you say, what the result of it is. It's physically demanding either way, and it's emotionally and mentally demanding, very much so in this situation. So good for her and all those folks out there, and you and your family for volunteer firefighting, because that's a pretty thankless job, and until something happens, you've got to be ready all the time. So
it's let me say this: we love our people. We love you guys. Anybody who needs us, we want to be there. Some people have a yacht, or they have they go golfing. We get on a fire truck and we ride, and that's what we do. And it's our lifestyle, and we can't stop doing it. It's hard when we can't. When I found out I was sick and I couldn't be a firefighter in EMT anymore, I pretty much switched over to the Skywarn coordination with the storm spotters and things like that, because you can't stop. Once you've done something like that, you feel like you have to, and that desire to help, that is the thanks. We love it when people say thank you. We love it when people want to tell us thank you. We love doing it. It's because I can't describe what it means to see that we've made a difference somewhere. And the most helpless feeling in the world is not being able to go out on scene. It's not being able to help. And rather than feel helpless, we decided we wanted to do something. And so to all the volunteers and all the, the paid departments out there, we want to say thank you, because you guys, y'all rock.
So I want to go to something a little lighter. So
it could be pretty much anything at this point, Mike.
Yeah, really.
So let's talk about Watcher of the Damned. That has to be lighter. So what made you write this, and when did you publish this one?
Okay, well, this one is actually the first from the second series. This is Trail of Travail. The first book in the first series, which is Transmutation, Texas, actually started writing it when I found out that I had fibromuscular dysplasia. I couldn't fight fires anymore. I couldn't do anything. I was really bored. I'm a huge gamer, and I played like Fallout 3 on bullet sponge mode for like a year. I was just like like tired of it. I was like, yeah, believe it or not, you can actually game too much. You can actually game so much you get like to where you know everything. And I was like, wow, I need to do something. I've got to do something. So what to do? Well, a vision came to me. It was a vision of a man chained at a gate, and he was hopeless, and he was destitute, and he was a prisoner, and he felt like life was never going to change for him. He longed for freedom, but wasn't sure how to get it. And then he sees a vision of something that he hasn't seen in a long time. And that's a child. From the world he's in, there are no more children. There are no more families. And this vision propels him into a catalyst towards freedom. And his journey towards freedom isn't a journey just for him, but also for the society in which he's in and the people whom he will discover along the way. And in that moment, I saw that chapter. I wrote it completely out. I saw this first chapter. I saw the last chapter. And I saw islands in between of scenes that I could see in the distance. I just had to get there. And I started writing, and I started writing so much that a million words later, we had 6-book series. And I was astounded. It actually, we published it during COVID. I got it written out actually in about 12 months. The whole thing, six books was like, boom, it was done. But it was getting it published was the hard part. I've never done anything like that. I've actually, in another life, I've written some investigative journalism, actually, under Ananda Plume. And I had written poetry all my life, but I'd never written a novel at all. I'm sort of a little bit ADHD, to be honest. I mean, I like to, just play with everything and go run after fire trucks and do stuff. It's a little hard to sit that long sometimes. And so, but me writing this, it came so naturally. And so I put it out there, got nominated for Prometheus Awards, which was incredible. You have to go through a process to do that. You can submit. They have to pick you up. They have to look at it, read it, and say, we think this meets our criteria for the Prometheus Award. And so we actually got, it's four of them now that have actually met that criteria. And we're very blessed to know that group of people. If you haven't seen it, Libertarian Futurist Society, amazing group of folks, really one of the last bastions of actual, I would say, free thinking in a vast world of literature that has become very narrow-minded in how it sees the future. The Libertarian Futurist Society actually does see that broad vision of freedom for all, and they look for those books that describe that well. And of course, Ray Bradbury being one of the winners in the past, and also Ursula Le Guin and Dave Freer, who's out there. I hope Dave Freer comes on tonight because I love him. I hope he sees it. But several of the Prometheus Awards winners, they're all about freedom and about that movement towards, from the personal prisons that we are in, towards freedom, true freedom, not just for ourselves, but for other people as well. So the books got those nominations, and that gave us that credibility that was needed. And so, of course, as I was talking about before, we haven't really haven't marketed this book at all. I haven't taken out ads. I think I tried one time on like Instagram. I was like, what do I do? And I poked a bunch of like buttons, and it sort of like did a thing, and I spent some money, but I don't know what happened. And so it's been more about the people that I've met that have helped me to get this book out there, to get the message out about it, because we haven't marketed simply because the series isn't finished yet. And I have a wonderful crew. I've got Melanie Callahan, who is a consultant, because I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, how do I do this thing? And I drew some pictures for it. And I was like, yeah, draw pictures. And she's like, that makes it really hard to format. And I'm like, okay, you do that for me. And so she helped me figure that out. And then when she did that, I had Stephen Black come on as my editor on the second series, and Art de Vitalis on my first series. My daughter is actually my cover artist. So I just wasn't like really going out and doing stuff. But they said, you know what, you need to finish the series before you can market it, because some people will not read a series unless they actually have the entire series finished, because so many people have been burned by authors that they start a series and then it just falls off. And we want to say, we're not gonna fuss at them. Maybe something will happen, and we'll be so excited when they do. and I understand how hard it is. Actually, I've gone through something recently where I had my husband had a terrible wreck. The second series actually was harder to get started because my husband had a terrible wreck, nearly died several times, and he was actually on a line of duty wreck in the fire department. And then I had a close family member die at my house. We found her. She was a young person and passed away. And so those sort of hits, when they come, you think it's easy. Your life is, is otherwise okay. And then something like that happens and you realize you have to get in that zone to write. You have to be able to get your brain where it is. And we still, over that course of those 2 years, we've had the second book in the first series, the first series and the second series have been finished. So I've got all 6 books in the first series and 2 books in the second series. And I'm actually finishing out the 3rd book in the second series now, which is Watcher the Damned Wanderer. And so I've been writing since, I guess, about 2020 and getting these out. And we've been pretty much on track to try to keep this series to where it should be finished. I hope I had a goal of Christmas 2025. And so I'm hopeful to get that done. But I know that it probably will take a little longer, maybe because of all the stuff that's happening, especially with the flooding and everything else. And so I just write and I let it happen, but it will be finished. I've actually got my son is actually also a science fiction writer. In fact, he was featured in Anvil #1 as the lead writer for Fleet of Thesis, Daniel J. Snow. And I've given him the keys to the kingdom. And I said, something happens to me, you will finish this series. The arc's already written. Everything's cool. I just need you to finish it for me if something happens. And he knows how to do it. So I'm like, this will happen. If God is my witness, I swear to you, please, Jesus, that we will have that full series for you. And then we'll start the marketing and stuff in earnest. And actually maybe buy an ad or something. I don't know what to do.
Well, let's be careful with that. But
yeah, really.
Do you think, Rebecca, that all of this kind of life stuff that you mentioned, that when you start writing, it's actually almost kind of a nice pressure valve kind of escape from the real life stuff to be able to engross yourself in the writing portion of it and get into this make-believe world where you actually have some control of what's going on?
Yes, I think you say control. Like have you ever had your characters actually just decide to do something?
Oh God, yeah.
You're like
control with quotation marks.
Yes, control quotation marks. Yeah, they have their own minds. They have their own. It's being able to go on a journey with a group of people that I know and love now. I'm sitting over their shoulder and literally riding along behind them, and they're not talking to me, but they're talking to each other. And I get to watch. And when they come across an obstacle, I get to actually watch as they try to figure this out. I usually do not, if they come across an obstacle they can't overcome, I let them figure it out with the stuff they've got in front of them, because that's what we would do in real life. I don't go back and try to write it so that way it makes it easier or something. I say, okay, what are you going to do in the situation? Watcher the Damned, the world that they are in is it's post-apocalyptic. It is a dystopian world, but it's also a very beautiful world. It is a life after humans situation and believe it or not, I wrote this before the pandemic. I wrote this before all of that stuff. And the impetus for the apocalypse is a gendercidal virus that destroys their ability to procreate and wipes out all the women on the earth. So basically you just have a big giant man cave and it's super boisterous. There's a few women left over there, and and everybody's all like diseased and inflamed, and they feel terrible, but they're still alive. They're still managing all these years later because they got this boost in their immune system finally after going through all this. But there's no children, there's no reproduction, and death has taken over the world. And so you have this last little group of people, the survivors, the ones who have clung to life and managed to hang on, and they're older now, but they're still, buff and able to handle it because they've got this big testosterone bomb that just basically got dropped on them. And so they have to deal with this world where there are no more young people. There's nobody coming to take your place. When you die, if a friend dies, they're gone.
There's no women, no kids.
What was that?
No women, no kids?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's not dystopian at all.
Some people would love it. It's a man cave. But yes, I wrote that knowing that. I knew that would happen. And pretty much
I do have one question real quick, if I can just jump in.
Yes.
The cover of your first book, it looks like there's a dragon in the sky, but it looks like a Western on the ground.
Oh, actually, that is the first book of the second series, and
So
yes, it is.
what's the genre? What am I
It is
reading?
a sci-fi western, and I had a really hard time putting this in a genre. And we actually looked at it. It is science fiction because it is a near future post-apocalyptic dystopia that has science elements in it, especially regarding cyber and genetic engineering. And so I'm coming from a science background. My father was actually a NASA scientist. He actually helped design the baffles for the Saturn V rocket system. My mother was a physicist. And anything that had to do with engineering, we were always looking for points of failure and how you might build something out of nothing. And you could take two twigs and you can make, stick it in a potato and make a battery or something. We were always doing some weird. My family was so strange. And so we had, with all of that in me, I was like, you know what, I'm coming from Texas. I'm going to write about what I know. Everything happens and it's in LA or it's in New York. I just put it right outside my backyard. Literally, I was like, I've got a 36 acre ranch here in Central Texas. I just went ahead and said, okay, what would happen in my back pasture if all this took place? And so what are they going to find out there? You're in Texas. You're going to find these things. It is a Western in that respect. We still wear cowboy boots and cowboy hats out here. Cowboy boots I've been wearing for 13 years. I wear them to church. The reason why, because snakes will bite my ankles if I do not. That grass is high out there. We have rattlesnakes. My husband wears a cowboy hat to work and his boots with a suit. That's what he wears. And that's what most of the people out in this county wear. Now, we have folks wear all kinds of other things too, but it's not a costume out here. It is a way of life. So I said, okay, what happens when the apocalypse comes and somebody gets dumped in Limestone County? What are they going to find? They're going to find this stuff. They're going to find blue jeans and boots. And they're going to find a bunch of guns. They're going to find ammo. But we're in a future situation. So there's new weaponry and there's new things that have developed over the years. And of course, there is a corporate government that has taken over everything, which that would never happen in real life. And I'm sure nobody thinks that. And so it pretty much turned from science fiction into a documentary while I was in the process of writing this thing. And so we have this world that is so hard to describe in terms of genre because it has all of these elements. And I just decided I wanted to write a story. And I didn't want to write it according to a genre. I just wanted to write the story as it stood. And so putting it into elements, the closest thing we can come to, and I've asked people, it is a sci-fi Western romance with cyber and genetic elements in it. And
can I add another one to it?
It's just one of those stories. You're going to have to read it to find out.
It's kind of a tragedy the way you set it up, because if there's no kids and there's no women, right, your world is time limited to about 70 years.
Yes.
Right? So ultimately it's a tragedy.
It is. It is it should be a tragedy. And that's the question becomes is how does it, I didn't want it to be a grim dark. I didn't want it to be where it's hopeless. Nothing good is ever going to come of this. We can't do it. There is a hope, but that's a spoiler. There are things beyond what we know. And one of the things the writing was done based out of my own experience with disaster. And I responded to the West Texas tragedy incident where we had the gigantic explosion and actually helped respond while that cloud of ammonia was still in the sky hanging over. We thought it was going to go off again, actually, as we went in. And was there for several overnight, actually, as we helped try to get people triaged and out of the area. You don't know what's happened when an actual tragedy occurs. There isn't somebody saying, hey, I just want to let you know that this happened. When your comms are down, when you have no way of communicating with somebody, all you know is a bad thing has taken place. And you know what's in your scope of existence. When you have truly global scale tragedies happen or disasters happen, whether it's like a pandemic or it's a flood or something else, you only know what you can see in front of you. And if you don't have access to your tech, you may never know the full truth. You may never know the whole story, especially if a corporation really screwed something up and they just really don't want you to know how badly they screwed it up. They may never tell you everything. And so we have a story within a story about a man who is in the midst of this tragedy, going down decades now, where he is limited in this place and he keeps moving forward, trying to find out what happened. And all he knows is this world is this dark, lonely place. He's with another group of these survivors, mostly men. There's a few women in there that sort of are mutated by this virus very badly. And they're all clinging to life together. And there's a world beyond it. As we step out into the world with him, it starts to open up just a little by little. to where we start to see more and more of what might have happened and what might have taken place. And we learn with the Watcher what it was that really happened. Because when disaster truly strikes, we don't know until much later what the real truth is.
So you've got this all plotted out. You know what's going to happen in every book
Yes.
already. Okay.
Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean that I know exactly what characters are going to do, because they're insane. One of my little characters, Rose, is actually in there. So that's the spoiler right there. Rose is in the book, as well as several other girls. And she's a chaos agent. She absolutely throws a monkey wrench into everything. And she has a tendency to get people in trouble in the worst ways. And she's not doing it out of spite or anything like that. She's just has a little bit of curiosity. And I'll be honest with you, this is not me Mary suing, but some of this is based on my own experience as being a me. And so when she actually will make a decision in the middle of me writing a scene, and I'll be like, please just don't do that. And she's like, no, I have to, because, and she will actually speak to me and tell me that she's going to do this thing because of her belief system of how she thinks. And I'll be like, go ahead, just do it and we'll figure it out. And so she ends up doing these things, and it actually does change not the course of the whole entire story, but it changes the course of that arc within that book. Each book has its own little arc within the story. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end for each story. So it does have a containment there. But the story is one continuous story from Transmutation, Texas, book 1, all the way through to the ending story and to the ending chapter. And so we get to follow these characters and their group as they grow and as they form this revolution, and they try to fight back against this world that has been basically thrown down upon them. And how do they get out of it? And how do they create a society with such a limited life, with such a dark future? How do you do that? Was freedom still worth it? And the truth is, yes, it is. It's worth it to fight for your own freedom. Even if the little time that we have, why would we want to say we can only have freedom if everything is perfect? Or we can only have freedom if we're in perfect health, or where everybody's good looking, or everybody's got a job? Or we can only have freedom if everybody is doing exactly all the right things. No, freedom is worth it. The individual that you are, where you are, and those individuals over there in all of their flaws and their glory, everything as it is, where you are right now, it is worth it. Freedom is worth it.
I don't know. I'm in DC, so. Yeah.
So, Rebecca, who is your main character in the book?
We call him the Watcher. That's his given name. He was given to him as a prisoner. They decided to give him a job because he's an extraordinarily dangerous man, and you'll find out why. He has to be tempered down. They have literally nerfed this dude so much because they want him to work for them. He has found a group of fellow survivors. And of course, in each group, there are leaders that arise, and those leaders have powers. And part of that reason is because they have brought power with them. Like death and taxes, power doesn't ever let go. It wants to hang on, and it finds a way. And the Watcher himself was once part of this system that ruled this world and actually helped bring about this tragedy. And so he becomes recognized by a particular leader. They bring him into the fold, and they realize he's a little bit too strong-minded for what they're wanting him to do, but they would like him to work for them. And so they devise a plan to make him addicted to drugs, to get him involved in certain things that will keep him bound to their society, bound to their little colony. And they use emotional blackmail, of course, with a woman that he calls his abuelita, which is his grandmother, his adopted grandmother that he has found along the way. And they use that to help make him into a citizen of this colony. They devise a way to keep him under their thumb, and he is called by them as the Watcher. He's the one they put at the gate to use those skills that he has to fight and to try to keep things safe, but tempered down to where it fits into their box, because a free man doesn't fit in a box. And so they have managed to make him fit into the box. And he is, yes, he is depressed about it, trapped like so many of us feel when we find out that, gee, I don't really want to stay on this job, but I have to because I've got to pay my bills next week. I've got to do this thing because I need to. And if I didn't have this holding on to me, I would be out there and I would be doing these other things. All of us get in a place at some point in our time where we feel like we're trapped. And he is trapped, but he's trapped by the love in his heart for his adopted grandmother, and by these circumstances which led him to this place he's in. He needs a catalyst catalyst in his life to break free. His name is actually Saul Azarian. He is a remarkable man, and I will say this, and you will find out if you read the book that he actually is not. He's not that perfect character that you're looking for. When we look for our frequently the superhero mentality, we want somebody that has strength and confidence and capability, and he has that in spades. He knows exactly who he is. He is capable of doing what he's doing, and he knows what he needs to do. It's getting beyond his own trap to do it. That catalyst will bring him to that place. But he also has physical limitations and things that have happened to him that affect the way that he interacts with the world and affect the way that they interact with him. And it is written from a place, actually a personal experience for me. And I wanted this character to be a surprise every time we find out something about him, that he's not just the big, strong, ugly dude. He has more to him. He writes poetry. He is an author himself. He wants to write. It's how he expresses himself for a very personal reason. And you'll find that out as you read the book, that this is the way he expresses himself, because there may not be another way to express himself. And so he is this person that is both brutal and hulking and dangerous and also sensitive, and in a way that is not diametrically opposed. We have this idea that men can't be a vicious, dangerous creature and still be the artist and the poet and the lover. The truth is, as we look at the way of the sword, when you look at the book of the 5 rings, and it says that a man should know the way of the pen and the way of the sword, and he should know both. And this is Saul Azarian's actual mantra that he lives by, is the Dokudo of Musashi. And so he strives to achieve that, and to be the warrior and to be the poet and the man who is able to do all these things in a manner that would please Musashi. But he finds that his own limitations, who he is actually as a human being, there are still going to be places where he doesn't quite fit in, and that's his own internal struggle.
You've written a book about Mike Molman. I mean, look at the weapons up behind him and the writer.
I know,
and the whole,
I think I see a Saya back there, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, he's
very nice words.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you this. We ask it sometimes. If you switch places with Saul for a day, would you survive?
Me as I am right now? No. He is the first line of defense at this gate. And okay, so the gate that he is defending, we're actually in a rural area. And I know exactly where this is because it's actually the Confederate Union grounds in Central Texas. And they have built a palisade wall around it. And I know how to build a palisade wall because, believe it or not, I was actually worked with the Boy Scouts in my younger years, as I was a Cub Scout and eventually a Boy Scout leader. And so I knew how to make like the palisade walls. We would make them for forts that we would build out in the woods. And so they've created this palisade wall and actually created a gate that goes with it, which I'm very proud of because I try to engineer all of the things in my book to where they would work in real life. And so he's at this wooden gate, but you have an outer berm and you have like an outer sort of barriers that are there, but gates are always your most vulnerable point in any fort. And so they have placed him at this gate to fight. So that way, if something comes in the fortress, they're going to make sure that Saul's going to get it first. He has to. He's chained right there. He's going to have to fight it or die. And so, I am probably not going to be able to fight the bears or the cougars. And you know what? The people think that this is made up, but honest to goodness, cougars are actually really alive here in Texas. I have one living on the backside of my property. I had an 800-pound pony, Cloudy. And I've told this story so much, so if you've already heard this, I am so sorry. But that cougar took my pony's head off and took it over there and then had the body over there in the middle of a copse of trees. And we went down looking for my pony because he was missing and found that big old footprint like that right there with that big old paw like that. And I took it to my local vet and he said, "That's a cougar." And I said, "I know." And he said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm not going down the bottom side of a gun because we're not going to be doing that." Well, so I might make it. Let me say this. If you gave me a weapon Saul does not have a gun for a very good reason. The Watcher is not allowed to have shooting or firearms or edged weapons because he is far too dangerous to do that. They give him a sledgehammer that they sawed off and said, here, you can use that. They want him to take out anything that comes through that gate, and they'll take care of it if they have a gun back in behind him. If you gave me a gun, yes, I can make it. I would need at least a Glock 19. I would hope for that. Maybe I would like a 356 Magnum. That would be good. If you did that, yes, I might be able to survive about 30 minutes. Maximum. That's it.
If it makes you feel any better at all, Rebecca, we have Cougars up here too, but they all drive Audis.
I know what you're talking about.
I know. I'm sorry. That's not worthy at all.
Oh, yeah. We haven't talked about the chupacabras yet. So you see, in this world, we're even beyond the Cougars. We've also had some sort of genetic mayhem going on. And so we actually have chupacabras, and that's where you're seeing those things that look like dragons. Those are actually the quetzalcoatls, or the feathered serpents, that somebody decided would be a good idea, and they've stuck them in this world. But so, no, those chupacabras are terrible, just terrible creatures. I do not want to meet one in real life. And I would be a snack. I would be gone. Yeah. You got to shoot well for that one.
So I don't know if you've seen it, Rebecca, but EL's been throwing you lots of Texas love.
EL, what are you doing? I love you. I'm half okay. So actually, one of the things is also I'm losing my eyesight. People don't realize I actually have an eye condition, so I can't see stuff. So when something shows up in the bottom, I don't see else. So make sure you tell me you're here because I love you very much.
So EL,
if we're giving EL a little love here, I went home this weekend and I found this in the mail. Thank you very much, EL.
Yep. I just got mine today.
Yep.
Oh, I want to read that.
Appreciate that.
So, and Rebecca, I just want to warn you about EL. If he ever says, hey, I want to write a story and I want to put you in it, just know that you're going to be, what does he say about me? Mike is a very dangerous man, amoral and vicious.
What?
And I don't have nearly enough energy to be that. So it has to be the fictionalized version of me.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Oh, that sounds exciting. I would love that. If y'all put me in a book, I'd be a happy camper.
Well,
Ryan Williamson put me in a book one time. He ended up making some sort of horrible, like 100-eyed creature called Watcher of the Damned. And I was like, oh, great. I'm like some sort of blubber. I'm basically an eldritch horror in his book. So, EL, if you put me in, I will love you for it.
How did you say no, EL?
I think I would suggest that he calls your character the Black Rose.
Oh, that would be awesome. I would totally do that. Like the Black Dahlia. We'll end up like dead on side streets and we're cool.
Hey, if you've only started publishing your books in the last 5 years, how did you get into writing to begin with? I mean, is it something that you've always kind of been doing for a long time and just decided to take it to its inevitable conclusion of writing a book? Or is it something that you said, well, I've read some bad books and I can do that, you know?
Literally,
I don't mean write bad books. I mean, I can write better. You know what I mean.
Yeah, I have read some pretty bad, but I'm a lifelong reader. And well, it's really hard when you actually get to be, I'm 62 right now. I'm headed for like 900 years old. I'm wizened. I'm like ancient of days at this point. So I've had plenty of time to read. So good luck to me and God bless. And so I spent an inordinate amount of my time childhood reading because I was a super nerd. I wasn't really pretty. It wasn't like I was going to go do anything else. So I read. That's what I did. I read all the stuff. I loved Conan, loved R.E. Howard, Tolkien, of course, Ray Bradbury. He's my homeboy, Jack Vance, all of those guys. Always loved reading that stuff. And I was a huge nerd, and I mean huge, as in Star Trek. Loved it because my dad being with the space program, we had to watch it religiously. And then, of course, we moved up later. I actually got to see Star Wars originally in the theater the first time with my father, and it was a huge moment for me. Yeah. So I was one of the original nerd girls, and so I spent so much time reading, but I would occasionally write something little, but I didn't even write short stories so much. I would write essays, or I would write poetry, mostly poetry. And I occasionally would write, I would get huffy and write like some sort of essay about how people should do something. When you're 12 years old, you know, you get pretty hacked off. At that time, the Vietnam War was going on. And my family was military. So I saw somebody write some sort of garbage about, you know, veterans coming home and they were baby killers. And so I got all huffy and I was like, so we had to write, I don't know if you remember spelling words. but you had to write your spelling words into like sentences where you would like make up a sentence and you would use your spelling word. Well, instead I wrote an entire essay about how hippies were garbage and that they needed to go because they were telling us that veterans were awful. And instead they needed to like love America. If they don't like it, they can get out and stuff. But I'm a 12-year-old. People freaked out and they put it in the local paper instead. And so it kind of got me a little notoriety because then I was like, okay, well, that's who I am. I guess I better be that. Because when you're a military family, you don't let people like, don't diss off your veterans. Don't do that. And so pretty much that was kind of like what I would do is I would get mad about something and write about it. And that, and maybe like write, maybe 2 pages. That's it. That was it. I wrote, poetry. That was it. Later on, like I said, I wrote some, a little bit of investigative journalism. I won't talk about that here. And then when I got into this period of my life where I've been an action girl. So I've been involved with emergency services with my county. And of course, that means that I'm a ham radio operator. I started an Aries group. I started my local Skywarn group. I got that all going. And then I found out that I had a thing called fibromuscular dysplasia. Now, fibromuscular dysplasia is part of my cluster of syndromes that I have. It also goes with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And I'm like a little shorty here. I'm like a 4'11" person that can like bend my fingers backwards and do cool things and stuff like, all sorts of weird stuff. But Ehlers-Danlos has a few complications that go with it. Well, I found out that I had fibromuscular dysplasia, which means that I have blockages all over my body. And I'm like, so I get really super skyrocketing, like blood pressures and really cool things happen. And people are pretty much now afraid I'm going to stroke out. They're like just standing around, just waiting to see what I do next. Well, they wouldn't let me fight fires anymore because of this, because they really don't want, the last thing you want is for an EMT or a firefighter to show up at your house and go, hey, guess what? And then they just fall over dead. It's not fun. You don't want that. So they were like, no, you can't be on the fire scene. No, you can't do this stuff. You sit there with your little feet up and you go play something. And like I said, I couldn't stand it. So the daydreaming started up. So my head literally was like, coming up with scenes and stuff, but nothing really meshed. And then they said that vision of a man at a gate just propelled me forward to write a 12-book series. And I have no idea how it's happening. I don't know what I'm doing. I guess people seem to like it. I've got pretty decent rating and I'm not going to brag on anything, but let me say it this much. My readers are sweet to me and they love me and they've been very good to me. And I don't know all of them. I don't even know half of these people. So the fact that they found me and they wrote something wonderful about it, I guess they liked it. So I'm happy. Thank you, readers. And so I can only attribute it to the fact that I read so much as a child because, like I said, being kind of goofy and nerdy, I didn't have anything else to do. Wasn't like I was going to be a jock or something. I wasn't going to be dating people. I mean, for goodness sakes. So yeah, so I read so much that it gave me the foundation I needed to write novels. And I really do think that is the key, is reading so much of the things you love that you don't try to go out and say, okay, how do I write a novel? Instead, you say, I love these works by these authors. I think I'm going to try and write a story that they might write, but it'll be my own. It'll be my own thoughts and my own feelings with my own voice. And it's just the way it happened. And I feel extraordinarily blessed that it worked out because there's, goodness knows, there's a lot of stuff I've done that just off the cuff that really didn't work out that well. And we don't talk about that first marriage, but it was awesome. It was okay. I got a kid out of it. I got a baby out of it. I'm good.
The starter husband.
No, I was very good. It's like, I love, if you're my ex's family, I love all you outlaws out there. I love you. Thank you.
When you first you said something about all the people have been very good to you. I mean, it's a very nice feeling, isn't it? When you first get that first bit of confidence from someone you don't know who's read your work and said something nice about it. Yeah.
It is, because we have a tendency. Okay, I don't know if y'all have ever been a mom. Maybe have y'all been dads?
I've been called a mother many times, but never a mom.
Okay, well, there's the thing that happens, which is that you say something to your kids and it does not matter. It does not matter at all. You'll say something like, nobody loves me, no, my hair is ugly. And then you'll be like, no, sweetie, you're beautiful. Your hair is just wonderful. I mean, it does. You're my mom. You'd say that anyway. And they just cry, Okay, the authors do the same thing. So we give our book to like our best friend. And then we say, okay, you read this. And they go, it's just wonderful. I love it. Let's put it on. And you'll be like, you're just saying that because you're my friend. you know. And so I had a really small group. I actually didn't have any beta readers at all, except for my son and my husband. And then and I found a local newspaper editor actually to be my editor because it was COVID and I didn't know what I was doing. And he was wonderful to me. But so I was like, okay, well, they like me because I'm asking them to edit, or they like me because I'm going to make them, dinner later. It's like so I had this very small group of people. So when it finally came out and I went to Rob Creasy's Based Con, actually managed to score that. I did get to go somewhere before I got too sick to go places. And so I was just shocked at how wonderful people were. And then John Carmack came up. And if you don't know who John Carmack is he is the creator of Doom. Actually created this co-creator along with others, but he created the game Doom, and also he had Armadillo Airspace. He's this giant, and he showed up at BaseCon just out of the blue, talking about cool cyberspace stuff and everything. And then he bought my books, and I was like, holy cow, there's a dude that I actually heard of. I gave like part of my life to him as a player of Doom. I was like literally like every day I played Doom for like probably a year, just playing it, trying to find all the stuff. So I was like, he thinks enough of me to buy my books. I was just flabbergasted. It was so exciting. I could hardly stand myself. And so I started to gain that confidence, because when somebody shows interest in you and you actually kind of know of them, but they don't know about you, you're like, that person actually likes my stuff. But you know what the biggest vote of confidence is? I looked at my little stars, the other day, and I wanted to see it, because I don't have a whole lot of ratings. I have 33 or 35 on the first book. And then and usually people for a series, they'll put it at the first book, and then they just leave the rest alone. So I'm really proud of y'all. Thank you for putting stuff on my books. But it was a 5-star rating, and it was from just an anonymous reader. And they said, I loved it. I couldn't put it down. And the person is writing it. I can tell they're not an author, so I know it's not one of my friends. And it said it was just a simple sentence. I love this. I couldn't stop reading. I want to read more. A 5-star rating. And I was like, when you find that person who loves to read, they're not a writer. They're not somebody that's out trying to, to just connect with other authors. It's a reader who just wanted something exciting to read, who just wanted to find that book that would make them feel like they had something fun to look forward to. Like you said, that immersion into a release from reality, where you can dive in and come up for air and find yourself in a brand new world. And to see that meant so much to me. And it means, and let me say this, I've had author friends that have read the book, that they were wonderful to me. They wrote this beautiful reviews. Blaine Pardoe wrote a fantastic review for me. So did John A. Douglas. And they wrote fantastic reviews that are beautiful. They have those grabbable sentences that you want to put on your little thing that says, this book, you can't put it down, or something like that. Blaine actually said it was a glass dusted with M. Night Shyamalan. And I was like, that is so cool. But it was that simple sentence of just, I loved it and I couldn't put it down. I was like, that sentence for a person who maybe isn't a writer, but just wanted to leave that message for me. And how many people are so shy that they don't even want to leave a message on a review? They just want to say, I think that to me meant more than anything else, because it meant that somebody out there found that book that I didn't even know them and they didn't know me, but they loved the book because of what it is. That is so exciting. I got so excited.
This might excite you. I don't know. You said you watched Star Trek?
Yes.
Okay. What's your favorite Trek? Or are you strictly the original series?
Oh, you say I can't use the original series?
I mean, did you watch them all, or did you only really watch the originals?
I would say that honestly, and this is me being honest, it's going to be a toss-up between Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. Now, I'm going to go with the original series every time if you're telling me which my favorite, simply because it was fresh, new, everything hit right, and James T. Kirk is my captain.
Okay.
Go ahead.
There's follow-ups. Who is your least favorite captain of all the Star Trek shows?
That's not really. I don't want to say Picard, because Picard is a different style of I understand what he's doing. I understand that he's trying to be the ambassador. He's trying to go forth, and he does have his moments, especially with the Borg. I thought he actually worked out very well. His interactions with Q are great. I would say that probably out of all of them, he's the one that that struggles the most, because I hold everybody to a Kirk standard. If you have a green woman, you should make love to her. You have, I go fight, pew pew. You know, it's pretty much it's James T. Kirk is what R.E. Howard would have written as a space captain. He's this isn't flat art, but we all know where James T. Kirk is going, and his growth from where he was at the very beginning to that last interaction that William Shatner has with Leonard Nimoy's Image. If you saw that last the short that he made this year, and I was so thrilled with that because I actually saw Kirk's arc in there. And so I'm sorry, but I love Kirk enough that I'm going to keep on going back to Kirk. And so I say for me, Picard, just less. The other words on Deep Space Nine and the others, I didn't get to watch them as much because I actually didn't have access to a TV, believe it or not. I was busy doing things. And so I would say between them, it's going to be Kirk each time. Picard, it's not that I don't like him. It's just that he is not that sort of.
Yeah, if you're only choosing between those two or three, that's fair. In other news, did you know that after many, many years of people wanting this to happen, Lego has finally gotten the rights to Star Trek, and they are coming out with the NCC 1701 Delta this Black Friday.
Oh my gosh! Okay, so you have to know this. Okay, so I'm a huge Lego fan because if you're a nerd girl, you play with Legos. Okay, so the year is 1973, 74, something like that. I'm in San Antonio, Texas. I'm having to live in a hotel because Dad has got yet another contract with the government, and we're living in a hotel. And my mother brings home the most wonderful thing because she's sick of us screaming and yelling at each other and throwing things in the hotel room. And it is a box of Legos. It is literally nothing but squares. There's like maybe a rectangle. There's like an 8. There's 8s and 3 and 6s and 3, like 4s. And there's little single ones that get stuck together and you can't quite get them off. You have to peel them away. And the one that's flat, you have to get off. That was all. There was none of these really cool little heads. There was I think there was maybe a pair of wheels later, but it was just squares. There was the most wonderful thing. Legos was literally, you could take a box of Legos and you could make anything out of it. We played with those. We threw them like caltrops all over the room. I cussed our name because she kept stepping on it with bare feet. That was the beginning of Legos. And yes, to know that they finally got the rights for it, I'm like, I will be getting it. I'm going to be putting it aside for my grandchildren.
It's $400.
No, I can wait. That's like a mortgage payment nearly. Okay, fine.
It's over 3,000 pieces.
Oh, geez.
And will come with 9 minifigures.
Oh my gosh. Okay, all right. So maybe I have to put some money aside.
That's why I'm giving you fair warning now.
Sell some more books.
I've already warned my wife.
You've already told her. Have you got a place picked out for it yet?
Oh no.
No, you're gonna have to make a place. You're gonna have to literally put it like that. If you actually make that, so one of my biggest things is I'll get started with a design and I'll start putting it together. I'm really cool. I always end up making something else out of it. I get halfway through it and then I put a tower on it or something like that, or a parapet where you can shoot out of it or something. So I always end up putting some sort of weird business on there that I have to go get more parts for it. So I always end up modding everything. So pretty much for me, I'm sort of like that one that doesn't ever follow the pattern completely all the way to the end. It's half done and then there's a weird thing on it, like some sort of tumor made of Lego or something, and I'll call it my special thing that I made. It's that's my little house on it or something like that. And in the end up, at the very end of all things, I just end up making tiny houses out of everything. I think it's some sort of deep, seated, spiritual problem I've got, that everything I play with, no matter if it's a spaceship or if it's a car, it will always turn into a very small house, and they'll be one of the ones.
Because you've gone back to your Lego roots when that's all there was,
Well, all we had was rocks and sticks back then, y'all. Come on. I'm sorry.
But Christmas time, jacks and pickup sticks were a big gift back in the day.
Dude, for real. You get them at Christmas. They'd be in your stocking. You get jacks. You want to talk about something that could literally murder a foot? They were incredible.
Those things were metal too. None of that plastic nonsense, like jarts.
Yeah, they were metal. Did you ever have the balls? There were these balls that were on a string. and you could clack them together. They were called clackers, and they would shatter with like thousands of shards going into your face. It was the best toy ever. Y'all, how old are you? Okay, I've got to ask this right now because I probably have shoes older than you.
I will be 57 on Saturday.
You incredible baby. You baby. I
5 years.
I do have one piece. I have a jacket that is actually older than you are. And so, okay, you, Mike, go ahead.
I will be 55 in November.
A child, just a mere child.
Oh, thank you for that.
Born. What is that? Let's say you say 55. You were like, so I'm 7 years older than you. So that's like
1970.
1970. Is that
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So you're 1970. Yes, I remember the year you were born. It was a terrible year. No, it was a great year. It was an awesome year. We got to play outside still and do cool things. It was awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I know all about that life that was out there. So yes, Legos, that first time the Legos came out, all of those toys and stuff like that, it was like a new world. There were modular toys you could put together. We had Lincoln logs.
Yeah.
But you couldn't, you would make the little house with it. It was really cool. And we had erector sets, which had all the little screws and nuts and bolts. And so we play with all that. But the Lego, for whatever reason, it still does. It absolutely captures the imagination. And part of it is because the connecting system is so much simpler. And it's so much more flexible. Even with just the simple blocks that we had at the very beginning, we were able to actually make curved structures. If you put them in just the right way and use the forge, you could actually make like curving elements and stuff. And so I think that the fact that I still get excited, and I'm 62 years old, I still get excited about the fact that there's going to be a Lego, Star Trek thing. That's kind of, I don't know if that's pathetic or exciting. I'm not sure.
I'm excited about it. So I'm
super excited. I'm so glad you told me.
What are we doing, Mike? You want to ask your dumbass question?
What?
Okay.
It's not on.
I'm hoping you do it here. So here's the question. You are going down the main drag of your street. You are in a saddle, but this saddle is either on a T-Rex or it's on a Griffin. Which one do you choose and why?
I think it's T-Rex because it's so freaking cool. I am okay right now. I know the Griffin is awesome and it flies. Okay, that's awesome. That's great. Do you know what it means to be on T-Rex? Do you have any idea? Okay, so here I am. So I'm this 4'11" little midget, basically. I have those T-Rex arms. I can't reach anything. If I was on my back, I couldn't reach me. So if I was on that T-Rex, I would literally be, the thing couldn't reach me, but I would be able to be like right behind its head. And then it makes this giant, that part where you just get the teeth are so awesome and everything like that. And okay, so I'm going to tell you a story. Here it comes. Back in the days when we had a Sears Roebuck catalog, I was living in Idaho, and it was like 19, and there was a toy in it, and the toy was a T-Rex, and it had a remote on it, and it had a string. You actually you didn't have like wireless, so you had to have cords coming out. And
the Sears Roebuck catalog, it was a real T-Rex.
Yeah, it had a T-Rex in it, and the T-Rex was robotic. It opened its mouth and it would go like this, and it would bite things. And it also had with it the Stegosaurus, and the Stegosaurus would like make this thing. It would raise its head and lower it. It had those 3 awesome horns and like everything. It was Triceratops. It was Triceratops, and I got both of them for Christmas. And I would have the T-Rex just attack the heck out of that Triceratops, and they would just battle constantly. Their eyes would light up and glow. It was the most cool thing ever. I understand the Griffin is cool, and it's nothing against you Griffin people. I love you too, but this is a T-Rex we're talking about. There's no comparison. Saddle up that T-Rex, ride.
Yeah, Rebecca, you were the person when you played Operation. You touched the edge on purpose, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you ever grabbed like a leather band? So that's what it was. Yes, I really did that.
You were the one that grabbed the electric fence to see if it was on.
Yes, I did. And it was on. It was good.
So I have one more question for you.
Go ahead.
If you could have any mythical creature as your pet, which one would you choose and why? And would it play nice with the T-Rex?
Okay. It's a mythical creature. I'm going to go with what I have in Watcher of the Damned, which is a chupacabra, because chupacabra is super cool. Okay, so they got big old teeth, and it's sort of like the T-Rex of weird creatures. But, they're hulking, and they have these long, slashing, sort of like the gnashing fangs that we would have like in a Monty Python skit, but instead they have these long slashing claws, and then they get these big old underslung jaws and everything like that. And just the idea of a chupacabra, and they're called goat suckers in English. And so like the fact that it just comes and sucks the blood and everything, but you could have it as a pet, and you could like stroke its little head and little round ears and the shiny eyes. I would do that. I would totally love this creature, and I would train it to be my friend and maybe attack people that are trying to steal my roofing materials or something. I don't know, but it would be a cool creature, and I would love it. I would feed it like some sort of like gummies or something. I don't know. So I would definitely have a chupacabra.
We've never had anyone say chupacabra before, so
no, that's first for us.
It actually makes me. I have James Maxey's book he did on cryptids, where he goes through and tells you likely. I'm like, I want to go read up on it right now. And
yeah, that's awesome. Actually, the chupacabra that we have is on book 6. It's like if you say, there he is, holding up the Texas flag, little chupacabra, sweet little boy. Yeah, so he's in. Actually, one of our characters actually is. This is a spoiler. One of our characters actually is a chupacabra.
Okay.
Name is Oscar. Because who wouldn't want a chupacabra named Oscar?
As you would, yeah, clearly.
Perfect. All right. Rebecca, thank you very much for an entertaining hour, and congratulations on the books and the next ones to follow.
Thank you.
I hope everything gets better out there in Texas, and your daughter gets home safe.
Thank you.
And really appreciate your time tonight. Mike, what do we have going on?
Tomorrow is our next show.
Tomorrow?
And if you give me just a second here to click live, I'll tell you it's with Daniel Riley.
Is it really? I know him.
Well, come on back tomorrow then.
I'll come and see him.
Join in the chat.
I will. And I want to tell you guys, thank you so much for this. I actually, and this is me being honest, I had been really depressed. It's been a tough week. And we've been up night after night watching the storms, trying to make sure things didn't happen. And I've been in contact with people on the ground that are in Kerrville trying to make it, to make a difference. This is what literature is. This is what brings us together. The fact that we can talk about these fantastic worlds and these places and things that we've never seen, to lift us out of a place where it may be hard and into a different world where we can escape for a little while and dream beautiful dreams, or something that will challenge us to be even better. And when we come back down to the plane of Earth, we find ourselves inspired and renewed, and with a hope that maybe we can be a hero in our own story. Thank you for doing that for me tonight, gentlemen. You were wonderful.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you being here. And for everybody who joined us, thank you as well. If you haven't hit like and subscribe, please do. And if you come back tomorrow, you might be able to talk to Rebecca in the chat.
Yay.
Okay. The only thing left to do is to pick up we streamed it. And so
Mike's getting all pixelated here.
You're pixelated. I love you.